Hi, I'm Pete Horton. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama at the WattStopper facility. I'm joined here with Elliot Henderson and our project management team. Elliot's one of our system engineers that works closely on the DLM product. And what we're going to show you here today is two wireless technologies for control and transmission of data to remote facilities. So in this conference room, we're simulating a campus environment where we have, across the area, we have some pole lighting with a wireless controller supported by DLM now. This is using 802.15.4 IP-based control, and it's integrated into the WattStopper segment manager. We also have two electrical closets or floors that are represented by these enclosures here. This is 3 DLM rooms, and then the Ethernet switches and backnet bridge, and we have the DLM bridges going into the spaces. We also have here a wireless trunking device. It's really acting as a virtual wire. We'll come back to that in just a minute. But what we want to show is Elliot just controlling a DLM network. Here's our segment manager, and then he's built just a PX page in the Niagara framework that is our segment manager. He's just built a simple user interface. And Elliot, what I'd like for you to do is just start off by demonstrating how, just through a normal browser, we can control loads in the DLM rooms. So he's just going to communicate to the segment manager across Ethernet, through the Ethernet switch, the MSTP bridge, into the DLM rooms, and he's activating loads on and off through a browser that can be located anywhere. What really starts to get interesting for us is that Elliot can also use that same interface to control wireless DLM products. And so Elliot, what I'd like for you to do is control pole number 3 in our parking lot. Just manually turn it on and turn it off. So he has control of that, and then when he's turning that on, we also get some really good information about that load. So this is all he's doing. Activating it on and off takes just a couple of seconds for the information to come up. And what you're going to see is that the amps, the watts, and the volts specific to that load are all being shown up. Now, what would happen if a car hit that pole and took that pole light out? A lot of cities and universities want to know what happened. So Elliot has just unscrewed that, just a twist lock connection, so you can easily retrofit existing pole lights. And by pulling that out, he simulated a failure. We've lost power to that pole or lost communications to that, and we can see very easily that we have a problem with exterior pole number 3. Down here at the bottom is where he's got control of the DLM networks. 2 of these rooms are in the building that we're hardwired to, and that third room over there is actually connected to the remote building. So let's go over there and take a look at that. And Elliot, what I'd like for you to do is start to use the trunking capability, the wireless trunking, the second technology that we're demonstrating here. This RF transmitter just takes the backnet messaging off the MSTP wire and puts it on a virtual wire or an RF transmission over to a remote building. So think of this as a church environment or a classroom where we have multiple buildings, and there's no way to connect the buildings without running a pair of wires underground to the second building. So what Elliot will do is send a message on Ethernet. It will go through the routing all the way to that server, that RF server, and it will be received here. And now he's controlling through that same interface over this trunking capability, wireless trunking to a remote building and a remote site. So what we've demonstrated now is manual control of wired DLM, manual control of wireless DLM, and wireless trunking of DLM messages to remote buildings. The last piece we'd like to show is a wireless input. This is running on the 802.15 IP-based RF network, and this controller is universal inputs, universal outputs, and what we're showing here is two digital inputs, a photocell and a switch, where we can see this being used maybe for monitoring of submeters, using pulse meters, taking it in as an input, and not having to run a wire or a data line or an IP connection down to every meter point. So what Elliot's going to do is activate the photocell, and that takes about 6 to 8 seconds for that photocell to switch state. We'll hear the relay, and we'll see our pole lighting scattered around the room. There's one over there, it's hard to see. Should start to see that in just a second. We'll start to see all of our lights be activated with that photocell. Now what's happening there is that wireless IP controller sends a message to our segment manager that has a radio in it, and that just transmits straight to the pole lights. What I want to demonstrate now is something even more powerful, where we're using both the technologies, the RF controls network and the wireless routing of the data, to send the message. So Elliot's going to activate a key here, and that's going to follow a similar path as the last one, but it's going to go through that wireless router or the virtual wire and control lights in our remote building. So let's do that one more time. Turn those loads on and off through that keyed switch. So I want to walk through very quickly what's happening there. As Elliot controls that, activates that switch, that comes over to the segment manager, which sends the message across the Ethernet to the switch, to the bridge. It goes on RS-485 to the bridge, and then it sends it over to the remote building and controls devices in that space. Two different technologies that are very valuable to completing the applications to extend DLM from just wired solutions to wireless solutions to bring value to our customers. So from Birmingham's Pete Horton and Elliot Henderson, thank you for listening.